Joining us to discuss is host of the Grace Curley Show, Grace Curley, and president of the Red Renaissance PAC, Kim Klacik. Thank you both for joining us. We appreciate your time on this Saturday.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Kim, I will start with you. What is going on with the president, President Biden?
Yeah, so, I mean, this isn't anything new or shocking, right? He's had gaffes leading up to his presidency. And so I actually fear, though, for his health. You know, I lost my dad, unfortunately, in 2019. And right before he passed away, he had a lot of series of falls. But hopefully that's not the case for President Biden. I have to go back in history here for a second. You know, back in 1996, we saw Bob Dole fall, and every reporter, every news story came out that he was perhaps too old to be the president. But now that Joe Biden is falling, of course, that's not the case. But we know that the media bias is usually for Democrats, winning and Republicans losing. But I do say, you know what? Joe Biden made fun of President Trump when he was at West Point for walking down the ramp, and it looks like the shoe's on the other foot here.
Yeah, Grace, I have to say I haven't watched Saturday Night Live in a little while, but I may be keeping my eye on the cold open to see if Gerald Ford, Chevy Chase may end up coming in to play Joe Biden. How do you think the media will cover this, as we haven't seen much about it here in the last 48 hours?
Well, don't hold your breath for SNL, Andrew. I'm going to tell you that right away. But I want to echo what Kim said. I mean, the double standard here of the media not covering this, you don't even have to go back to Bob Dole. I mean, just look at the previous administration. They were mocking Trump for being afraid of falling. And Trump used to tweet out, hey, I'm not going to slip and give you guys an in to make fun of me. And now we have a president who trips 3 times, falls on all fours, and no one says anything. It's really amazing. And I just want to point out, the part of it I find stunning is that he's running up the stairs. He's got a good amount of speed. Then he falls, and he tries to go back to the same level of speed. And that's what caused the second and third fall. I've watched this many times.
I was going to say, great. So you paused it, rewind it, went in slow motion. The White House says, though, that the wind is what caused Biden's stumble. And the media, as we've been saying, completely silent on it. Your reaction to how, as you were just talking about, they treated former President Trump, since we were referencing it, this is the West Point commencement speech where he was slowly walking.
The president's health was already called into question this past weekend when he was seen on video cautiously walking down a ramp after delivering a commencement address.
There are some questions this morning about President Trump's health, and it's because of this video of the president. Do you see something possibly neurological that could be throwing off his balance?
One doesn't need to be a physician to note that the president hasn't looked well recently.
He was walking down the ramp afterwards, and he looked a little shaky. The president says no big deal. It was a downward ramp, and it was a little, he says, slippery, even though it was a clear day.
Come on. They should be embarrassed. Here, by the way, let's add to it. This is what President Biden had to say. Oh.
So I run up ramps and he stumbles down ramps. Okay? Come on.
That didn't age well.
Yeah, no, that did not age well. Now, all of this coming as a federal appeals court judge is writing a dissent demanding in another court case, a Supreme Court case, that they overturn this landmark case protecting news outlets from lawsuits over false reports about a public figure. So how do you think all of this is intertwined? Andrew, I'll toss to you. What do you think?
Well, fascinating just to see this. Yeah, it's fascinating to see this come out today. I just can tell you, I was with the president at West Point. It was a spectacular speech. The media didn't focus on any of that. They just wanted to focus on the couple of seconds that it took him to get down the stairs. I find it to be absolutely absurd the way that they cover the president, the way they covered President Trump and the way that they cover President Biden. It just, highlights their hypocrisy. I was actually talking to my wife about this today, and she thinks that the leftists in the media are closer to Pravda than they are actually to a free press. For all of our viewers out there who need a reminder, Pravda being the newspaper in the Soviet Union that they actually used, which meant truth. So there you are.
And you buried the lead there. You were with him at West Point. I mean, he had on dress shoes. He was trying not to fall. Kim, can you imagine if he had actually fallen, what the coverage would have been like?
Oh, absolutely, right? That's what he said. He said, I took my time so that you guys didn't have to cover it all, because they would beat him up over it. But you know what? I never laugh at anyone falling or anything like that, because it could happen to any of us. But hopefully a lesson learned going forward. Like you showed, Biden did mock him going down that ramp at West Point. And here he is just going up a flight of stairs to Air Force One, and he could not make it up. But I hope that he takes his time in the future, for sure.
Yeah. Grace, final word.
I think I agree with what Kim's saying, is that I don't find it funny how much he's struggling. I actually find it really concerning and sad. But what I will say is, when you juxtapose it with the previous administration and how these journalists cover things, we know that when they want to be, they can be very curious, and they can, they can investigate Ted Cruz's dog, and they can investigate how much ketchup Trump puts on his steaks. So the fact that they go so silent when the rest of the world is talking about something, like Andrew said, it exposes the hypocrisy. It's unavoidable at this point.
Yeah, and it's borderline dangerous at this point as well, when you have leaders from other countries, our foreign adversaries, watching it and thinking that this is our leader and he's clearly having some sort of issue. Grace and Kim, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Have a great weekend. Well, our transgender rights